स्वाध्याय टीवी। डॉक्टर बाबा साहेब आंबेडकर ओपन यूनिवर्सिटी।
Namaste. Dear learners, greetings from Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar Open University. Today, under the subject of communication skills, we are going to discuss about something very special. Before we start today's topic, let us have a small exercise. First exercise, all the learners sitting in front of the screen would sit or stand closing their eyes for a moment without thinking anything, especially not about the white elephant. What happened? Yet a minute is not over and you have started thinking. You were asked not to think. You were not supposed to think, and especially about white elephant. What we have observed, that sitting without thinking anything, so difficult. Maybe for most of the people it is next to impossible. And I know that when I told you not to think about white elephant, the instruction ended upon with many thoughts about white elephant. Yes. Okay, let us have another exercise. Not about not thinking, but about not communicating. You will have continuously 5 hours when you will not communicate. Oh, I know what you might be thinking, that ma'am, for 5 hours I would keep mum, I will not utter a word, and thus I will not communicate. So, do we mean to say that when we don't utter a word, when we don't speak, we don't communicate? Okay, fine. Then I will not utter a word. Arey Baba, I have not uttered a word. I did not speak anything, but I did communicate. Though I was not speaking, I was communicating. Yes. So, before we start discussing about communication and process of communication, let us confess it that communication is very important, vital, inevitable part of our day-to-day life, whether it is a personal life or professional life. It is very difficult to do away with communication, that I will not communicate. When we do not speak, there is a possibility we are not with anybody else. At that time also, communication does take place. There may be various levels of communication, but communication does take place. When in the play by Shakespeare, Hamlet might be talking to himself, is a communication. So, it is not always that communication is in the form only, or the type only, or at the level only. It used to be at various levels. Yes, my dear students, first, that it is not possible that any human relationship, or going beyond the human relationship also, living thing, animals, people would be able to survive and exist in complete absence of communication. Communication is a process. Now, how communication is a process? Just let us have a glance over the definition, simple definition, understanding of communication. Let us have a glance over the slide. What is communication? If very simple introductory set of words we take, communication is transferring of a thought, idea, emotion, feeling, fact or information from one person or group to another person or group of people, so that it can be understood and acted upon. Now, I want you to pay attention on every word. I am reading and I am trying to explain. Try to understand. Communication is a transferring of. A person or a group of person transfers. What is being transferred? It can be a thought of the sender. That can be an idea, or maybe emotion like love, anger, hatred, etc. Feelings. Fact. 2 plus 2 make 4, that is fact. Or some information that Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar Open University was established in 1994, that is information and fact. That is being transferred from one person or a group to another person or group of people. Now, you see the next part of the definition or this introduction is very, very important, so that it can be understood and acted upon. Okay. Now, dear learners, why so that can be understood and acted upon? I have an information, an idea, a thought, a feeling, emotion to convey to somebody else. I do it, but when I say something, when I share, if for example I say, I earned gold medal in swimming competition. Now, I won gold medal, I earned gold medal in swimming competition. I share this with my friend. My friend looks at me and he is busy with his work. Now, I repeat. Now, you see, I know that the person's capacity to hear is good enough. Then again I repeat, did you listen? Did you hear what I said? I won gold medal in swimming competition. Again the person, my friend, looks at me and again he is or she is busy. Now, why do I repeat, or maybe why do I keep on repeating the same message? Because I have a doubt the person has not understood what I said. Oh, she is, I'm so disturbed, her father passed away. Then person, did you listen what I said? Her father passed away. Now, why? The response was there. In first example, when I shared some good news, the response I expected, but it was not there. I expected the person would congratulate me, my best friend would hug me, and there would be a kind of celebratory mood, but that did not happen. So, somewhere the last part of the introduction of communication is missing, that the message is understood. If it is understood, why not acted upon? Why there is no response to it? Second example, when there is some very bad, sad news, I expect that the person who listens, with whom I am sharing this piece of communication, would console or would say, would show that grief, oh, very sad, very bad, it should have not happened. But instead, he or she smiles, unexpected. Now, this unexpected thing is happening. Why? That means I doubt that communication has not taken place. So, it is very important for us to understand that communication is a process. For example, if I am traveling somewhere from one destination to another destination, there can be many reasons for the failure of my journey. Maybe my health, or the route that I might have chosen, or the vehicle that I might have chosen, or the time that I might have chosen, or maybe the destinations that I might have chosen. There can be any of them, the reason of failure. In the same way, when we discuss about the process of communication, there can be any reason for the failure of the process of communication. To understand it, again, let us have a glance and a bit brief discussion about the definition of communication. Let us have a brief discussion about the definition of communication by Peter Little. Let us have a glance over the definition. Communication is a process by which information is passed between individuals and or organizations by means of previously agreed symbols. Now, I want you to pay attention on the definition word by word. We have already discussed that it is a process. Communication is a process by which information is passed between individuals and or organizations. That means, communication takes place between the organizations also. Now, you see, organizations do not directly communicate. There are the representatives of organizations, they communicate. But now, the second part is by means of previously agreed symbols. By means of previously agreed symbols. Now, what does it mean by previously agreed symbols? For example, when I say congratulations, the person who doesn't know English would look at me. I say congratulations. The person looks at me. The reason is, to whomsoever I am communicating doesn't have background of the word congratulations. Now, congratulations means what? I don't know English. When I say Abhinandan, oh, Abhar. Abhinandan understood because it is in vernacular. It is the regional language of the person. Congratulations not understood. Why? Because previously agreed symbol. When I say, shall we go for? Shall we go for? Now, don't understand? This is tea. Tea. Shall we go for tea? Tea. Now, this tea, is it previously agreed symbol or not? When we say somebody, do you understand it? If you do not understand it or it, the communication is doomed to fail. Why? Because these are not previously agreed symbols. When I say switch on the fan, put this on the table, you have to understand what is switching on, what is fan, what is table, what is flower vase, whatever words I am using. So, a word, a body language, anything you use while communication, it is very important that the sender and receiver, both of them agree to the words or other sign symbols used in the communication. Yes, I hope now it is clear to you what exactly the communication is all about, and second, what are the conditions of communication being successful. And now we will discuss about the process of communication. Now, you see, first of all, it is very important to understand that communication process is sign mediated interaction. Sign mediated means the sign and symbol, they play a very vital role. Sometimes people say that when I say get out, come in, sit down, stand up, feeling better, I am not using any sign. For example, very straight sitting, not any sign. Namaste, good morning, sit down, stand up. I have not used any sign or symbol. So, how can it be sign meditated? Oh, my dear learners, the words, they are sign and symbol. The words are sign, they are symbols, because their performance, their work is that there. So, first of all, the process is sign meditated interactions between at least two people generally. Yes, when we shall discuss about the types and levels, we will discuss another communication also, where there is a possibility that I am standing all alone and communicating to myself. We will discuss that when we shall discuss about the types and levels. Generally, it takes place between two individuals, an individual and a group, or two groups. So, first it is a process. Second, very important, that there is a share of collection of signs and semiotic rules, how language should be utilized. It is very important to understand the nature of language, the construction of the sentences, and at the same time the other semiotic rules, how the language should be used. The collection of sign, word, non-word, verbal, non-verbal. So, it is very important. But at the same time, it is must to know that all forms of communication require sign and symbol. Any communication, verbal, non-verbal, formal, informal, and again we go for the various types also, upward, downward, diagonal, etc. Every communication would require sign and symbol. Okay. So, now I hope you are clear what communication is. Now, what we will do, we will discuss the various components. The various components, they play very vital role in the whole process of communication. Guess how many components might be required? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, already stop. 6 components are required. What could be 6? Let us start with the first component. The first component is context, C-O-N-T-E-X-T, context. First component is context. Second is sender, or one may call it encoder. Third is message, obviously it is very important. Fourth is medium or channel. Fifth is receiver or decoder. And the sixth and the last one, very important, is feedback. You might be thinking that what this context is. Sender is understood, receiver understood, message understood, channel and medium understood, again the feedback is understood. What is this context? My dear students, people around you, people around me, do we think in the same direction, in the same way? Do we speak the same language? When we speak the same language, do we have the same tone, intention, pitch and everything? Now, you see there is difference between intention and intonation. Intonation, the way you speak, and intention is here, what I intend by this communication. Yes. Context is a broad field, it is very broad field. Sometimes the learners feel that what use of learning, okay. Sometimes students feel that what use of learning context simply to understand communication. It is very, very important because it helps you to understand the person in a better way. When you understand the communicator in a better way, you are able to interpret, understand and respond to the message in a better way. If we simply define context, context is a field or maybe very broad field that includes country, culture, organization and external and internal stimuli. I belong to different culture. Sitting there, you belong to different culture. My family background is different. Your family background is different. My social background differs from yours. My religious background differs from yours. I as an individual, what I think, that would very strongly influence my communication. what I speak, how I speak, what I communicate. So, my thinking plays very vital role. Whatever is here, that plays very significant role. Now, whatever is here is influenced by so many things. My being Indian affects my communication. My being educated from certain institute always influences my communication, because that influences my thought process, my culture, the way I have been brought up in my family, that also affects. Not only that, maybe if I am very religious person, I have read religious scriptures, then those scriptures also would influence my thinking, my communication. So, finally, I am a set of feelings, emotions, ideas, so many things that very strongly influence my communication. I have read certain books, very good books. Those books, those authors have influenced my thought process. They have influenced my communication. I might have heard so many, great leaders, their speeches. Those speeches have influenced me. So, all these, things create context. So, I hope the first part of context is clear, which is very much, internal. Second is external. There can be external stimuli and internal stimuli. Stimuli that stimulates, that motivates, encourages, or maybe, provokes you for the communication. External means sometimes things might not be always here, but the circumstances, the situation created encourages me to communicate. For example, I am sitting here and there is fire. A small kid doesn't know what fire is and what are the hazards touching that. Tries to move near the fire and suddenly, oh, take care, oh, take care. Now, oh, take care. It is not here. The external stimuli is there. That has encouraged this communication. Sometimes things happen around us, whether intentionally or many a times even unintentionally, intentionally or unintentionally, consciously, subconsciously or unconsciously. We communicate, we send messages. That is external stimuli. Now, I hope you understand what context is. My dear students, to be very efficient, adept, effective communicator, it is very important to understand what the context is. So, context is a set of culture, religion, social, family, educational, values and everything. They are there with an individual who has an urge to communicate, the sender generally. So, what we discussed here, the two aspects, the situation or setting within which the communication takes place, and the another is here, internal stimuli. So, first, the birthplace of the message is context somewhere, here either or around. So, that is first context. Context of whom? I wish to communicate, I have the message to communicate. So, it is message, my communication. So, I want to send the message. Now, as you know, when we go for the birthday of somebody, we pack the gift, present. The gift is packed so well and gifted, whosoever's birthday or anniversary or success story is there. We have visited many a times, generally the shop, gift article shop, and we choose the wrapper also. Oh, I don't want red color, I want blue color, I want silver, I want golden. I don't want jazzy, I want very simple, I want sober. jazzy, sober, dark, light. Is it always your choice? Not always. Then, to whomsoever I am supposed to present this gift, I have to keep in mind the person also and our relationship also. If I am gifting to the person, beloved to me, maybe very dark color or jazzy things. But if very formal relationship, then formal color, formal design, very formal packing. Yes, we pack. In the same way, the message is encoded. We encode the message. Encoding message we send. So, the message is encoded. Which words shall I choose? Okay, fine. Verbal or non-verbal? Everything I decide. The message is there, idea is there, but encoding takes place. The message is now encoded. As I am encoding message, I am encoder. As I am sending the message, I am sender. So, first of all, the encoding takes place. The message is there, sender, encoder, or the person has transmit the message, also known as transmitter. So, first sender, encoder, transmitter. Then, the idea come from personal data bank, that is context what we call. While encoding the message, I would keep in mind who is my audience, for whom the message is meant, structured, what kind of language should I be using. At the same time, who is the receiver? I will be choosing channel and medium also accordingly. For example, a laborer, the person who is not educated, with the person I am communicating, and if I say, oh, I will mail you the content. Now, the person who is not educated, mail for him seems ridiculous, no? Yeah, because the channel and medium should be chosen keeping in the mind the receiver. Who is the receiver? So, channel and medium, they are also chosen. So, first of all, the context, second the encoder or maybe sender, transmitter. Next is message, core idea that triggers the response. For what I am expecting response. If I expect response for certain, so that is my core idea message, which might be in any of the forms. Now, you see, it is very important in communication process that the idea in communication is a two-sided coin. In a different way, how you might be thinking, how two-sided coin. When I send the message, I have the message in my mind, very clear about message. I mean to say this. Now, at the same time that the message is there, when it reaches to you, if you are receiver, when you decode it, the message, the same message should reach to you. That means no other idea, exact the same that what I meant to say. Okay, that can be verbal, non-verbal, anything, and that's why the planning of the message becomes very important. I have to plan how should I encode it, what channel medium should I choose, because I don't want my message to be distorted or misinterpreted, misunderstood, and so planning becomes very important. Okay, again context, then I am there as a sender or maybe transmitter or encoder. Then the message, the core idea is there. After core idea, the channel or medium is there. As I told you, that can be email, computer, laptop, phone, face-to-face talk, verbal, non-verbal, memo, circular, anything. But the channel and medium should be chosen very wisely, keeping the relationship between the communicators, maturity of the receiver, sometimes urgency and importance also. It's very urgent. Now, finding a letter, posting it would not survive. It will be too late. It's very important and very urgent. I have to give a call. So now giving a call, that channel medium is again due to urgency, importance of the message. Okay, what is the objective of the message? What exactly is the purpose of the message? Why do you wish to communicate? That would also decide what kind of channel and medium will choose. Next is number of receivers. Am I supposed to communicate to a single person, 5 people, 500 people, 5,000 people? Depends. There is a possibility somewhere a call may do, somewhere mail may do, and somewhere I have to give in media or give it to the newspaper. Why? The number of receivers expected is large. Sometimes even size of the message. I have 2 lines, 5 lines, 10 lines. Face to face will do. Telephonic may do. But in a message of maybe 5 pages message, 3 pages message with round about 20 bullet points, very important points. I may communicate face to face, telephonic, but is it possible for the receiver to remember everything? If the person is not jotting down the points, would be very difficult. In that case, keeping for the long term memory, yes, written would be better, or it will be very time consuming. Keep thinking about time, then go for oral. So, oral or written things depend on the size, urgency, etc. Even the cost to be borne. What would be the expenditure? Yes, that is also important. So, these are the important things that are to be kept in mind while choosing type of channel and medium. Dear students, one more thing, that at international level, the cultural differences also play very vital role. What is interpretation of a message in India may not be the same interpretation of the same message in the other country. At international level, when we are communicating, it is very important for us to know about the culture of that country or those set of people. Again, what we have discussed is first, I keep on repeating, the reason is that this repetition would clarify the whole cycle of the process and the components who play very vital role in the whole process. Context, then I am the sender, then there is message, right, channel and medium. With the help of channel and medium, the message reaches to you, receiver. Receiver receives the message. Now, as when we gift something, present something to somebody, we pack it and the person who receives unpacks it. In the same way, the moment we encode it, there the person decodes it. The message is decoded. The receiver decodes the message. Decodes, okay, this is the message. I understand it. I interpret it in this way. The message means this. Here, the component of receiver, decoder is over. Understanding is not enough. Yes, my dear, this philosophy applies in every forte of our life. That understanding is not enough. That understanding should be reflected in our behavior, in our life, whatever great philosophy of life one may understand. Yes, that is applicable to communication also. I, as a receiver, understood the message. I interpreted it completely correctly, but it's not enough. I have to convince the sender of the message that I have understood it well. So, my understanding would go as again encoded message to the sender. Now, who plays role of receiver? Try to understand. When I received the message, I was receiver. But when I am trying to send the feedback, I become encoder. I understand. I see. Now, these are the expressions feedback. Do you mean to say that we'll have to postpone our trip? Now, that's my question. Do you mean to say, this is also feedback? Because yes, I understood. What you communicated, I understood. I am a bit doubtful whether whatever I have understood, is that correct or not. So, I am trying to confirm it. Do you mean to say the dates of exams have been postponed? Feedback. Again, this return information or response is very, very, very important in the whole process of communication. Why? Because the extent of success of the communication is decided by the feedback. From the feedback only, the communicator comes to know whether the message has reached or not. Second, the message has reached in its right meaning, right sense or not. Here, with the feedback, the whole process of communication gets over. How? First, context, sender of the message, channel and medium. Then from the channel and medium, it comes to receiver. Receiver decodes the message. Understanding, as a feedback, another message reaches to the sender. This is the whole process of communication. Shall we have a glance over the whole process of the communication in the slide? Let us have a glance over the slide. Here, context, sender or encoder, message, medium or channel, receiver, decoder, feedback. All the 6 components in the Scrum's model of communication, which was introduced in 1954. Just here observe that encoder. Do you read encoder? Yes. From there the message goes. Now, where the message moves, those lines, those arrows, they stand for channel and medium. That message reaches to the receiver. There you can read the decoder. Decoder decodes the message. The person becomes interpreter, because after decoding the message, he or she interprets the message. My dear students, as I told you, that interpreting is not enough. Yes, I have understood, I have interpreted correctly, I have to convince the sender. So, again the same person who is decoder there, interpreter there, becomes now encoder and encodes the message, which is feedback, my dear learners, which is feedback. So, again encoder encodes the message there. Now, you see the person who played the role of decoder after interpreting becomes encoder. So, now he or she plays role of encoder. Again the message, now you see the below message is feedback. As a feedback, the message moves to the person who is now receiver and decoder, who was previously encoder. Again he or she decodes the message there, understands, interprets. Here the whole cycle of communication gets over. Again, in short, just revision is very important, dear students. So, I keep on revising things. Context, the situation or setting within which the communication takes place. Sender, who is conveying the message. Message, what is being said. Medium, how and with the help of what the message is being sent or conveyed. Receiver, to whom it is being said or to whom the message is sent, communicated to. Feedback, how the message is received. I hope all these components now are clear to you. Dear learners, after understanding the whole process of communication, one exercise for you. The exercise is for coming 5 days, every day 2 set of communication you will observe One would be verbal, another would be non-verbal. Next day go for formal, informal. And think about the whole communication process in components. Observe them, pen down them, in terms of components. Okay, this communication took place in my today's day. In this communication, this was the context, this was the person was the sender, receiver, message, channel, medium, decoding, feedback, etc. The practical observation would help you a lot. Communication is very important. Learning communication is very important. Not simply to understand others, but to understand ourselves also. To improve on our own communication skill. When we speak, we should understand that what I communicated, how context influenced this communication. What kind of context should one have to have better communication skills? All the best. See you in the next session to learn and discuss many more other things. Namaste.
स्वाध्यायः परमं तपः।
स्वाध्याय टीवी